Okay. So welcome. I appreciate you coming on and being transparent about your feelings about the industry and understanding everything that's going on because it can be a little confusing. I understand that. So why don't we begin with what is it that you feel would be a good starting point for you to understand to be able to come into our industry a little easier? Is there anything that confuses you, or did I explain everything clear enough? Please feel free to ask whatever you like.
Well, the industry can be a little confusing to me. If you could start with the basics on what the difference is between like FTD, teleflora, and a wire.
Okay, good question. All right, so the wire industry, for example, the wire was started with FTD over 100 years ago. And, back in those days, everything was a wire. They used the word wire. We'll wire you the money. Well, everything was considered a wire. And
Yep.
that's how they used that terminology back in the day. If they're going to Western Union and all old technology and old terms. Well, it carried through the years, and FTD was the end all be all for the flower industry. They promoted FTD. Everything was FTD the flowers, FTD the flowers, and then the industry evolved. They were owned by the member florists, so the flower shops actually had a stake in FTD, and they were all controlled and worked together until I don't remember when it was in the 90s. It got sold out. They had a meeting, and the meeting they had a vote, and the popular vote was they wanted to sell it, and all the flower shops are going to get some money. And just like the poison in our industry, you throw a few dollars at a florist, and they end up just giving everything to you like you want. What do I mean? I'm going to get back to that. So they got their money. They became privately held, and FTD then started getting into the internet, and they started competing. And they were not only competing for other orders, but they were also competing with fellow florists. Now, florists didn't know how to manage this or handle it. They couldn't perceive the idea of, wait a minute, you are our network to send and receive flowers among each other. What do you mean you're going to be selling? Well, the internet's here now. FTD.com became an opportunity for them to create sales and then send them to their flower shops to what's called fill the order. So when you take an FTD order or anything else like that over your computer, the Mercury or the Dove, those are orders that are sold by FTD or Teleflora or 1-800-Flowers. I'm back into this now. You have two computer networks. You have the Mercury and you have the Dove. The Dove is owned by Teleflora. The Mercury is owned by FTD. Those were the two primary companies. FTD first, then came Teleflora. Now, before the Dove, it was called the Terrasys. There was a company called Redbook Technologies. Redbook was a company. They created Redbook Technologies, which was RTI. To this day, it's still the number one POS system in the industry. It's a bit, old in how it works and functions, but I got to tell you, Steph, it is bulletproof. You can't break it. And I always use the term enter introduce. If you just click the button to enter into an order, it will take you to the field that you need to be on. So you don't need a mouse. You don't need to overly complicate the process. Enter introduce, and you get through the order. So as time went on, and the mouse came into the play, and the GUI interfaces, Windows, people wanted it to look prettier and fancier, and that evolved, and everybody had a different version of it. And of course, Dove had to keep up with it, so they came up with the Dove system, and they also own the RTI system. They're both POS systems. They can both send and receive orders, but they go through the Dove network, and the only way you can get an order through the Dove network is to be a Teleflora member.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Then now you have the FTD side. FTD went more headfirst into just gathering orders the best way they can. And the difference between the two of them, FTD will drop ship products. So if a customer wants a really good deal and FTD gives them a special price of, say, they give them a special price of whatever it is, $29.95 for roses. Well, a flower shop can't fill an order for $29.95. So what do? They go over to Flowers in a Box. FTD says, we can do that for you. And that's exactly what they did. So they put the flowers in a box and they shipped it, and off they went. They were now beating the local florist. So instead of taking the order and keeping it in the industry, they're now direct shipping it. So the florist is out of the game.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
Teleflora is privately owned. It's owned by the Resnick family. I had the privilege of meeting them several times. Outstanding people. They hire outstanding employees. And most of their employees, believe it or not, are there 20 plus years. As much as I'm proud of having my staff, as long as we have going into like 13 years, they've had employees 20, 30. I've got employees that I still talk to that are going on 40 years. It's just something to be said about the culture at that company. It's an outstanding company to work for and to be a part of. Now, people want to get upset. Flower shops is just everyone has to be upset with somebody, but I have yet to find a reason to be mad at Teleflora. Now, what they do is they promote florist to florist business, but then you got the teleflora.com. They're out there trying to get orders. So the florist thinks they're competing with them, but they're really not. They're getting the orders that the florist is missing. The problem, Stephanie, is the flower shops are not doing enough marketing to get their own orders. So Teleflora is like, I've got to have orders, so I'm going to get them for you. They go out and get the order and they send them to you. Yes, there's a cut. There's a cut in every. There's no such a thing as a 100% of any order ever. You're always paying something to someone, but you don't have to do anything. I mean, you just plug in a printer. I've got a video on this that I'll send. You can just plug in a printer. How I started my business. I came into a flower shop or empty store space, made it into a flower shop, got the back then the Mercury system, plugged it in the wall. All of a sudden, all these orders are coming through. Well, next to me is a hair salon, and there's a barber shop. There's a sandwich store. They're all wondering, how is this guy doing all this business? He just opened up.
Right.
Thank you, wire service, because it gave me the jump start to get going. Are we clear
So
so
the
far?
wire service
Yep.
is what was there before Teleflora and
Yes.
FTD?
It was
Okay.
it was FTD. They called it the FTD Flowers by Wire.
Flowers by wire. And that's what does FTD stand for?
Flowers Trans World Delivery.
Flowers.
Because all goes back to the transmission of orders. That's what it was.
Okay.
So they had Merlin Olsen was a key spokesperson, and he was a big football player back in the day. And they did some really good things in the industry, but as time has gone on, they're publicly traded. They're just really, in my opinion, they're out for the dollars, the transactions. They just want to get as many orders through the system as possible. On Teleflora wants the orders, but they want their flower shops taken care of. And the problem is the flower shops don't really see that great value and commitment from them because they always want more and they think Teleflora doesn't give enough. For example, they have containers. Have you ever seen the Teleflora containers around the holidays?
No.
Okay. Well, they have these containers that they have specialty like Thomas Kincaid and different cutesy containers you can put flowers in and deliver them. And
Oh, okay.
it's a cool idea. It's expensive. I get it, but it's a cool idea. So I even tried that out. I had what's called the Conforti collection. I had a set. There was 3 trains, and these trains were in 2009 was the first one. Then there was another one coming in 2010. Then another one in 2011. It created anticipation and excitement, and it was boxed. It had a certificate of authenticity. There was only 3,000 made, so it was taking what Teleflora was doing up one notch. And it was a great idea. So now, if you see a picture on the computer, you can get that container with those flowers just like you see it. I followed the Teleflora brand. Teleflora supported me 100%. Even though I was doing what they're doing, they're like, that's fine. If that's going to help you get more business, go for it. Back then, the president was Greg Kakari. He said anything to do with helping a florist, Teleflora was all a part of. Now, there's been several presidents since him. Every single one of them had that same idea, and it starts with the ownership. Stuart Resnick's wife's name is Linda, and she is such a true marketer at heart. She loves to market, sell, and deliver. She's a pleaser. She's a public. She just loves pleasing people and coming up with ways to make things better and serve the public. And she did a great job with the flowers. And she's behind Teleflora, and she still has her hands on the containers. She wants to know what they're making, what they're doing. It's a real family run business, and I was very proud to be a part of it. all the people that are in the middle of Stuart and the florist, they really are great people that try to help florists. The only downside sometimes they don't seem to have enough help. They used to go out and visit flower shops. They don't do that anymore. I don't know why. So I'm not sitting here to tell you Teleflora is the end all be all, but as far as I'm concerned, for 30 years, Stephanie, I was a Teleflora member and I was a proud member. And they helped me. I would not have gotten to where I was without Teleflora's support. I will tell you that.
So I was just thinking, what is so then where does 1-800-Flowers come into play? Is that comparable to Teleflora?
Coming up next, now we have 1-800-Flowers. They came up with the BloomNet network. So Teleflora, 1-800-Flowers was a company called Flora Plenty back in the day. 1975, 73 to 75 or something, Teleflora or 1-800-Flowers was a bankrupt phone number. So they bought the number, Jim McCann, and they turned everything into 1-800-Flowers. And what a great job he did. I mean, nobody does it better. They were really good at marketing that name. Well, they were getting orders from the customers. They were then sending them to FTD, to Teleflora, and there were some others. There was Carrick, AFS, and there were other little wire services that ended up getting eaten up by the big guys. But the most important top three were FTD, Teleflora, and 1-800-Flowers. So after sending so many orders through the system, 1-800-Flowers ended up coming up with their own network. So now they have what's called the BloomNet network. So now you got Mercury, you've got Dove, and you have BloomNet. My goodness, how many networks do we need? That we need flower shops to succeed, not more networks in between getting orders processed between each other.
Right.
So now when you get an order, did it come in BloomNet? Did it come in Teleflora? Did it come in FTD? I mean, at the end of the day, the process is the same. The commissions are a little different. It's like your credit cards. What's the difference between MasterCard and Visa? Little to nothing. Discover the card that pays you back. It's no different. These are just wire services. So all that being said, we now have these three companies out there competing. Now they all offer websites. They all offer marketing help. They all offer very similar services. I think Teleflora is the most committed to technology, to the flower shop, and along the way, we were all building websites in 1998, 99. Greg Kakari called a bunch of florists into the he called everyone into LA for a meeting, and he said, "What should we do? This internet's coming, just kind of like where we are now with AI. The internet's coming. What do we do?" And believe it or not, some of the guys that came there said, "Stay out of our business. We don't want you in it." I thought it was good that they came in because at the end of the day, they're going to raise the bar and make it better. And way back then, there were no standards. There was SEO wasn't even a term. Would you believe that? SEO was not really coined until the 90s, mid 90s. Until then, it was like, just make your website better. Do this to make your website better. That's all it was. So everything was about make your website better. It needs to rank better. And everybody was an expert in their own way. So there weren't order fees and charges and website development. Nobody knew which way we were going. It was a wild, wild west. Well, I was on my third development company. I needed something that nobody had. I wanted that same Beneva experience when somebody walked in the door. I wanted it on my website. So my standards were way higher than everyone else. Nobody could keep up with me. I was way ahead, just exactly like what's going on right now. I've got ideas I'm putting together that no one's even heard of yet, but that's for another conversation. Right now, the way this was all forming, the wire services now started offering websites. Now all the rules are changing, and they're changing fast. I got caught up in the middle of it because I'm also building my own website. So they're like, "Hey, Art, we built this." I'm like, "That's really nice, but I don't need any of that. I've got this." And my product back then was superior to anybody's. And I'll say that until the cows come home. Only recently did Teleflora really step up. In the last 5 or 6 years, Teleflora is as good as anybody out there. Plus, they've got a support system better than anybody. I mean, nobody has a web company, I think, other than us, because we're 24/7, that's dedicated like Teleflora. And I work very closely with Teleflora because I believe in who they are, what they do, and the finished product. So now you have FTD. They do everything. They send orders, they receive orders, they have the Mercury network, and they make websites. Their websites are probably the weakest. Then you have 1 800 Flowers. They have the majority of the customer orders in the country. Most people call 1 800 Flowers, so they've got the network. Like if you want wire in orders, you go to 1 800, you go to BloomNet. You're going to get a lot of wire in orders. If you want to grow your business and you want to partner, you go to Teleflora. They're not going to have the same amount of wire orders coming in, but they're going to give you support like nobody else is going to give you. I couldn't imagine this industry without Teleflora. And whenever I tell flower shops I want to complain, I said, tell me what could be better? What could they do better? The flower shops that are complaining out there that you see on the internet, they are all very small mom and pops. Many of them work out of their homes. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but it seems like the smaller the shop, the louder the voice and the bigger the complaint. They always want something they can't have. Meanwhile, there are 10, 15, $20 million a year shops that are not complaining. They're doing business. They want lower fees. They want things because they've got volume, as they should. Then you got the small shop that's going to give you more issues and problems and look under every issue that they can find and dig into it and call their family members and call their brothers and their cousins, and it makes no sense, some of the things that they're asking for. So when I go on the boards and I try to say, hey guys, tell me what your problem is with Teleflora, well, they all start sending questions and I start answering them all. Next thing you know, I get knocked out of the board because I'm just pro Teleflora. Well, how come you can be against Teleflora and it's okay, but if somebody says something positive, they're out? I mean, now what does that remind you of? Let's not get into politics, but I will say this. It's the right thing is make the flower industry the best it can be. So if I'm sitting there telling you what you could do with these orders to make you money, if I can tell you that your complaint really, what sense does it make? They don't have an answer for me, Steph, and they end up blocking me so I can't go on the board. And then the flower shops start calling me personally saying, hey, I really like what you said. Can you tell me more? Can you help me with this? I pull up reports. So, as you're learning in our company, everything it has got a supporting document. It's got to have a reason that we say what we say. So everything we do is verified. So back in the day, so I built my website. I went out, Teleflora went out. We all started doing the web business, and I know that I had the best website in the industry. And then when I sold my business and went into semi-retirement, I had a team of very, very gifted of agents that were working for me that wanted to keep going. We worked well together. We came up with solutions. We got shops to rank. So the new owner said, I don't need a marketing agency. I'm not interested. I wasn't going to walk in that room and tell them they need to go find new jobs. This was a great team I had. So we all got together and I said, listen, when this stops being fun, then I'm out. But until then, I want to keep going together. And they know those words because they all were there. And we've been together ever since. All right. So that's us. That's the flower industry. So again, you got three different groupings. They all offer images. They all offer websites. And the Teleflora sites are all unique. I don't know anybody that has a web platform that's as unique as Teleflora. As you saw in the sites that we run, Ed Moore's looks one way, Abbott's looks another way, uh, Gordon Benetti looks another way, Bethesda's another way. They all have a different look and feel. They all have different templates that they can customize. So what we're doing is that. The only point that I want to make going into the holiday, when you're taking orders and people are taking orders, we want to try to sell what's called designer's choice. And what really eats me up yesterday, and that's what I was talking about this morning with you, is people that have designer choice items on their website for $200 or $300. I'll show you one right here on my screen. It was like I go over there and I take a look at this other flower shop's website. I went, let's just go to their Mother's Day. It doesn't even say when Mother's Day is over here, but there it is up on top. Okay, so we come down here and you see designer's choice 124 to 174. Then You see another one. Well, I guess they took it off. They must have heard my last video, but they had another one that said 200 to 300. So it was like the same picture, 200 to 300. Now they dropped it down to 124 to 174. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Why can't you just stop at 50 or 75? And so they start saying, well, we need to make our margins. It's cost us so much to run our stores these days. So I went over to their competitors. Here's a shop that we operate. And Mother's Day right there tells you it's May 10th. It tells you again it's May 10th. So if somebody is coming along here to send flowers for a birthday, they're not going to miss the fact that Mother's Day is coming up. It's all over, and everything says May 10th on it. Now, you go into the Mother's Day selections, and Stephanie, look what you see here. Gerber, graceful Gerbers for $35. Now, I don't know where this started, but flower shops are so proud of their average order. They're pounding their chests saying, we have a high average order. People spend money with us. I argue that point because you don't know the ones that decided, that's too expensive. I'm going elsewhere. You don't know who does that, but they do. Everyone doesn't want to spend $200 on an arrangement. So where did they go? Now, this was an item that they had from admin days, like it used to be Secretary's Day, and two Gerbers in a pretty vase with some butterflies, $35. It's a nice gift that you can send to your mom, and for under $50, your mom's going to call you up and say, thank you for the pretty flowers. That's what most people want. Now, if they want to spend 75, they want to spend 100, great. But by us not giving people the chance to get something under $50 is opening doors for From You Flowers, 1-800, all these bigger companies that we can't compete with, they all have their flowers in a box program. So they wrap up some flowers, they put it in a nicely marketed box, and they ship them. Now the person that receives them has to put them together. They have to open the box. They have to receive it in receiving. Who knows how long it sat on the truck? There's no need for this. The flower industry is hand designed, hand delivered across town or the USA. I have over 4,000 videos on YouTube under Bloomerang Solutions. Just go Bloomerang Solutions on YouTube, and you'll see over 4,000 videos and explanations of what we do and how to do it, how to sell this, how to sell that, and it's not that difficult.
Right.
And that's my whole position and our position working for our company is we're taking orders and we're also helping flower shops sell more orders because at the end of the day, that's what we need to be doing. We need to be helping florists do more business. And in doing so, they're going to be more successful. We're going to be successful by them being successful, and everybody wins. We have these cards for reviews. Nobody knows where to get them. Again, we got them done through Google. You could tap the card and go right to the flower shop's review page and leave them a nice review. I even have a video on here on how I started in the industry, what we're doing, how to do it, how to sell better. This video right here that I'm showing you was how I grew my flower shop. And there's 4,000 of these. I can show people how to sell more product, how at the end of the order, all they have to say is there any additional shopping I may assist you with? If they say yes, well, then all you have to do is be ready to take the second order. Well, do you deliver to Chicago? How about Hawaii? And as long as your answer is yes, we can, then you're ready for the next order. But many flower shops aren't ready. So they don't even say anything, Stephanie. At the end of the order, thank you, have a nice day. And
Right.
by the way, I don't allow people to say have a nice day on my store. Do you know why?
Right.
Because you never know who you spoke to. And we are all creatures of habit, and we're used to saying have a nice day. But what happens when somebody had an unfortunate occurrence and somebody lost a family member or somebody close and dear to them? And you're feeling it when you're taking the order and you're going through the process. And at the end, you accidentally say, okay, thank you. Have a nice day. Yeah, did I mean to say that? Of
Right.
course not. But we say it. So I just tell my staff, everybody, you're to say, we'll take very good care of this for you. Now you never offend anybody. And I just think that's the
Right.
safest way to go.
Yeah, because you're dealing with all different sorts of emotions as to why they're sending flowers.
Yep, one person just lost a family member, another one just became a grandma. There's just
Right.
so many. I've got videos of customers talking to us. I have a shorts area where it's video after video on how to sell your business, how to get more business, what people did to market their businesses, and tips and thoughts for the week and the day. There's so much knowledge out there that's not connected to any wire service that I just don't know why people don't want to go in there and get their questions answered. For whatever the reason is, you're on our team and I welcome you to our company. And anyone can use this video to help train their staff and members. But the beginning understandings of the wire service really needs to be explained. And then the very first thing we should be selling whenever we're selling to customers is designer's choice. I'd like to send some flowers. Great. Was there a price range you have in mind? I've got another video I'll send you that I listened to a flower shop struggle so bad because they said, "What do you have?" Oh my God, what do you have? That's like the worst question you can have to answer because you have everything. You can sell a rose in a bud vase for $10 and you can sell a bouquet that's $500. So where do we begin? I
Right.
always say, ask people, what price range are you comfortable with? Because everyone's got a number when they start the process.
Mm-hmm.
So if
That's
they
true.
say $50, $60, you might get them to 80 or 90, but you're not going to get them to 200. So let's just be realistic. Give them what they're looking for and close with confidence, but make sure you always ask, is there any additional shopping I may assist you with? Oh, can you send flowers to my grandmother in Minnesota? Sure, we can. And they don't think to ask for that, but they'll hang up the phone and they'll call 1-800-Flowers and place an order.
Right.
I hope that makes it easier to understand.
Yes, it actually did.